Okay, I'm sharing an entire window right now. I suppose I'm visible for every tab in the library. I was listening to UsiMamane.
Finna crack. Wait, need me a breeder out in the field and I'm fighting for freedom. Still the shit my scene, but every time my nigga freedom.
Popular
A
cost.
breeder out in the field and I'm fighting for freedom.
Yeah.
Still the shit my scene, but every time my nigga drop Yanyiwa.
Mm-hmm.
Still at the top, believe it. Fuck niggas playing follow the leader. Live in the hill, cedar, fly as fuck, the pen is Peter. I'm a boss, I'm all in it, I don't talk. It's y'all business, I'm a dog. I'm Lord, then I'm a god. A small image of us all written in the stars. Hope y'all get him in the game. Soft niggas, cop niggas, flop niggas, short niggas with the raps and long on Twitter fingers. I'm a don, and your beginners how long it's over, niggas.
Okay, he's hard. I wasn't really interested in actually listening to UsiMamane. I saw a text from Reddit regarding South Africa. What's happening in South Africa requires all of us to be honest and understand that two truths can coexist. South Africa has an immigration problem. This is true. South Africa has people who are both Afrophobic and xenophobic. This is another truth. Truth that's what's going on. We must accept those truths. The South African government across Africa must have a conversation about the migration problem. South Africa cannot continue to bear the economic and social cost, and we can't afford to keep gaslighting South African citizens by stating that Africans helped them during the apartheid struggle. They should never be used to silence them. True. African government must confront the reality facing their citizens and take responsibility for what has caused their citizens to migrate to South Africa. The South African government must also take responsibility for co-signing up the other African governments and failing to hold them accountable for destroying their economies and making it hard for their citizens to remain there in their countries. This is a this is quite this is quite revealing, and it's somewhat to what I agree with a lot. Not even somewhat, a lot. Um African government okay um South African government must also take responsibility for co co-signing is am I reading that right? Up to other African governments and failing to hold them accountable or true, yeah, for destroying their economies and making it hard for citizens to remain in their countries. The South African government needs to be strong here. It cannot be soft, hiding behind Pan Africanist ideals and brotherhood that emerged from liberation movement doesn't cut it. True, we simply can't reduce this immigration problem to pushing narratives such as South Africans are lazy, HIV infected, and educated. Anyone saying so is dishonest. There is a real crisis. South Africa has remained the most unequal country in the world. The economic pie is largely in the hands of the white minority, yet we expect the same black people who are excluded from accessing this economic pie to share its scrubs with Africans from other countries. It seems unfair to accept that, to expect that. Saying this doesn't mean we do not acknowledge the existence of Afrophobes. They, exi- they exist in every struggle. There are people who exploit genuine grievances to drive selfish agendas, hate, etc. It is right. No, is it right? No, no. Never. The South African government and other African governments must deal with Afrophobic and xenophobic actors. Innocent people cannot lose their lives and businesses because governments have failed to address socio-economic conditions. SA has a crime problem. It would be disingenuous of SA citizens to say crime is perpetuated by foreigners or illegal immigrants only. There are South Africans who commit crimes, and one cannot solve crime by scapegoating. There is an immigration problem which may potentially lead to crime that needs to be addressed. If immigration is issued and socio-economic conditions are not addressed, these tensions will keep rearing their ugly heads. Afrophobic South Africans also need to confront the truth about why they solely targeting black immigrants. This pattern mirrors what's happening in the United States of America, where ICE disproportionately targets black and brown people. This disproportionate targeting isn't random. It's rooted in anti-blackness and colonial hierarchies of belonging that code blackness as foreign, criminal, or disposable. In both SA and US, immigration enforcement becomes realized. It has become a tool that punishes skin color by weaponizing citizenship status. It is painful to watch people stripped of dignity and abused by simply for being foreign in South Africa. To find common path forward, we need to understand the nuances and hold all African governments accountable. We are where we are because of them. Bra, nanzi unanivumelana naye. Yo, this guy's not even here. Being a Reddit has made me realize that people here are actually good writers. I'm choosing to believe that your wild choices are an extent of your own statement. I appreciate you for. Hey, I'm just appreciating. Don't mind my punctuation. Okay, so you fail to see the logic and focus on some grammar. Lol, nah, I came up with it, lol. We can't begin to have an honest conversation with SM themselves. They don't like having honest conversations about what's causing immigration. It requires looking into the failures of the NC, the rampant corruption in the Department of Home Affairs, unequal application of visa issuing conditions based on race and class, something that forces people to overstay. The visas are getting harder to get, not because people don't meet the criteria. Nobody intentionally chooses to live a life with such uncertainty. The conditions in the system have made it in that way. Solving immigration means really looking at the administration, which the NC wouldn't want. And now, with DHA under the DA, their changes to immigration are set up in a way that only favors European migrants because of the high cost of obtaining a legal visa. It is all by design. The immigration problem is overblown. Currently, African immigrants make up less than 5% of the South African population. Xenophobes are easy to provoke into action because they blame immigrants for things that they have no part in causing. It's definitely overblown. Recently, they were making noise about African lecturers in tertiary institutions that they don't even make up over 12%. It's a sickness. South Africa is riddled with ideological cancers. And I agree. And it's a shame that my mother is part of this. Oh, shame. If fewer than 5% of the population are immigrants, but 12% are university lecturers, that's that's a rough 240% overrepresentation in a country where thousands of PhD graduates, postdocs get told, sorry, there's no job for you. Well, your math is not make sure true. Sounds like you one of the 5% and not okay. Okay, that's why I love Reddit. It's so real. The immigration problem is overblown currently. Okay. Like honestly, this is something that really needs to be talked about. I didn't want to look at immigration stuff on the first video, but that seems to be the case. Because what I do understand and I do agree with that this is just a white man's game. At the end of the day, they knew this is a chess move. They just want to use black people against other black people. This is gonna turn against us. That's what I believe. Because we're being used as pawn pieces, to fulfill their narrative at the end of the day. That's my idea, honestly. That's what I think. Because what this is only going to do is it's going to create friction between South Africans and other African nations. And what that will do by return, it will result us to depending to the colonial hand that South Africa is being held on um, for everything. And a black man will surely be more afraid of the white man and will be the minority to some extent. Um, and there'll be less manpower and whatever, but maybe that's just stretching it on to be honest. But I think this is just gonna put soldiers, honestly, out there, and it's gonna create friction and civil war intentionally. I hope I'm not stretching this, but this is what seems to be happening. It seems to be what's happening. And you know what, let me just hold the stream right there. I don't want to I'll continue with part two maybe tomorrow because I'm leaving now. Bye, guys.